Hey everybody, it's Lori. I am here to share my latest journal with you. This one is kind of it's predominantly a mermaid theme, but it's also a little bit of vintage nautical and seashore type stuff. But it's using the Ivy Shutter's Song of the Sea printables, which are a mermaid theme. So there's a lot of mermaid stuff going on in here. Let's see, the size of it is, oh gosh, I always say I'm going to measure this before I start the video, and then I always forget. It goes right out of my head. But I believe the cover is about 9 inches tall by about 6 inches wide. And then the pages are about 8 and a quarter, 8.5 tall, by about 5.5 inches wide. So this one is a fabric wrapped cover, and let's see here. I've got these ridges here on the spine that are raised up a little bit, and then I've just kind of inked over them a little bit to distress them a little bit. I left the back of it just plain, unembellished. And then on the cover of it, I've got quite a bit going on here. I've got this piece of just plain cotton muslin, like just a cotton fabric that I dyed a green color, and then did some stitching around it and stamped a mermaid on it, and kind of ripped around the edges so it would fray a little bit. And underneath that, I've got a couple different colors of cheesecloth, some sort of eyelashy trim kind of fibers, and green vine trim sewn on underneath that. And then I've got some paper flowers here that I've done some stickling on, so they're kind of glittery. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but they're kind of shimmery. And then this charm here that is a little anchor, and trying to flip it the right way. It looks good on both sides, but it's kind of a patinaed anchor, and then it's got some little beads attached to that, and I've got that on a little garment pin. And then I also have this big jewelry piece here that's just kind of a big piece of bling up in that corner. And then I've got some corner pieces on here that are actually silver, but I put some kind of copper colored rub and buff on them to give them a little bit of a coppery color. And I've got those on the front and the back covers. I've got stray fibers all over the place on this thing. It's a hairy book. Okay, and then on the spine, I have tied onto the spine piece here just a whole bunch of different fibers and ribbons, and it's actually wrapped around the spine and knotted at the top, and it does move a little bit. I didn't want to glue it in place just in case whoever gets this journal didn't want that in there because it was too bulky or whatever, and they wanted to pull it out. So it is removable. And tied onto some of the stray fibers here, I have a little seahorse key, and each one of these are on a big jump ring, and they're just fed onto the fibers here. They're knotted so they won't slide off. And then I also have a little bead dangle here, and then I have a little sand dollar charm. Okay. And then for the closure, I've got this leather strap here that I stitched onto the front, and then it's also stitched onto the back. And then on the strap, it's actually got a little lobster claw that's attached to it, and I hung a little crab charm on there. Okay. Now this book is about 100 pages, so 200 pages front and back. And then it's got a bunch of, smaller pages and bags and stuff sewn into the signatures. It's got 7 signatures. let's see here. You'd think I'd learn to start putting a few less pages in there because it does end up getting kind of bulky once you get the trims and everything in it. But it's got a bunch of trims sewn in there, some sewing on a few of the pages, a bunch of tags and tuck spots. And like I said, most of the big pages here are printables from that Song of the Sea kit, but I also found a bunch of different random images from Google, and a lot of them also came from the Graphics Fairy. And some tags also came from the Graphic 45 by the Sea collection. I'm just going to get that out of the way right at the beginning because I'm not going to name where everything came from as I go through the book because it'll just take way too long. Now this book I did again with the hidden stitching binding on here, and I just wanted to point out that this is not a new way of binding books. I don't know what kind of videos everybody's watching and who's claiming they're coming up with new ideas, but basically they've been binding books like this for centuries, and this insert here with all the signatures is called a book block. And this is something that I learned how to do probably about 5 years ago from a gal here on YouTube. Her YouTube channel is Sea Lemon, and she has a whole bunch of different really awesome videos about bookbinding. But basically what it is you sew the signatures into a separate piece, and then you kind of wrap something around the back of the signatures and then glue it down to the front and the back covers, leaving the space behind the signatures and the spine piece hollow, okay? There's room behind there. And I just want to show you, just in case you're doubting me when I'm telling you this is how they've been binding books, I want to show you an actual book here. As you can see, it's the same exact thing. This is called the book block. This part here is the book block, and they have bound it to a separate piece, not attached to the actual spine. Now, obviously, I haven't bound my book exactly the same because it's not a book that was mass-produced, but it's the same concept. It's not a brand new idea that I came up with, and it's not a brand new idea that anybody else came up with. So I just want to put that out there in case anybody is actually wondering. So I'm going to shut up now and start flipping here. I do have some tabs sewn onto some of the pages, and I've got a few charms hanging on them. This one has a little seahorse charm. Did some stamping in here. And each one of the tags I have backed with some different colors of dyed paper, just to make them a little sturdier, and so you can do some journaling on them. By the way, I will put the link to the couple of videos by Sea Lemon that I learned how to do this from. And like I said, this was probably about 5 years ago that I learned how to do these videos. The only thing different that I did than what she does in her videos is she connects all of her signatures together via the Coptic stitch. I don't do that because since these journals are so heavily embellished, if you do the Coptic stitch, there's not a lot of wiggle room to add stuff in them. So they bulk up really fast. So what I do is I take each individual signature and I sew it into a separate piece so I can have some space in between each one of the signatures, because you can't do that if you do the Coptic stitch. They're all smushed together. This is just a shipping tag with a little, like a seashell napkin Mod Podge to it. Did a little bit of stitching around some of the tags. This is a really cool sheet of vellum paper that it was pre-printed like this, but it kind of looks like it's the seashore or the ocean. My cat's roaming around here talking in the background. Just took some of my decorative scissors and just did some cutting on some of the pieces of paper. This is just makes it look like it's torn. Here's another piece here of ephemera that I got from Crafty Irina, and I just spritzed it with some different colors of distress stain, and then on the back side of it Mod Podged another seashell napkin. I love this stamp. Just a piece of dyed tracing paper. And I am going to be listing this for sale on my website. So as soon as I get it listed, I will put the link information in the description box. And here I have another little shipping tag paper clipped on there that I did some spritzing with distress stain, and another Mod Podged napkin. Here's another awesome piece of ephemera from Crafty Irina. It's a layaway tag that I stained up, and have another seashell napkin. I have quite a few different seashell napkins, I guess. And whoever gets this journal, if the bulk of it kind of bothers you, actually move the beads and stuff out of the way so that helps it lay a little bit flatter, but you can eliminate some of the bulk just by taking out some of the tags if it bothers you. And here's an envelope here that's actually part of the Printables, and I've got a tag inside here that I just got off, that's a Google image. Here's a time card here that I got from Crafty Irina, and it's got a little tattered floral flower on here that I made using the Tim Holtz die, and I just did a little bit of stickling on there to give it some shimmery glitter. All of these bigger tags like this are from Graphic 45. Did I forget to show you? I did. I forgot to show you another one of the dangly charms here. This is hanging on this tab here is a little like a whale's tail. Isn't that cute? Little charm. And then this one here is a sand dollar. See if I can get it up there. Oops. There you go. Hopefully it's focused. Can't tell. Oh, and each one of the tags are also edged with some Tim Holtz Distress Stain in, I want to say, oh, I forget the name of it, Ocean, Salty Ocean or something like that. Here's another little envelope that comes in the Printables. And I think I have a tag in here. Yep. Another little dangle charm here. It's kind of a blingy little anchor, boat anchor. Tons of writing space in this. I love these stamps from Graphic 45. Another shipping tag here with a Mod Podged napkin on it. Another bunch of seashells. Okay, and then just some more trim here and a little piece of a vintage doily and a couple more tags in the back pocket. And that's it. All right, you guys, I hope you like it, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will catch you next time.